Those first few shots, they sure are important. Otherwise you post them and you're like, I got some crazy face looking thing there. Hi, hello, happy Tuesday. Gonna come on because Spirit was very clear with me that it's more time for conversation like this, because we just be blowing it up in 2023. So we're just gonna do impromptu lives as it comes along and see what comes through. So if you watch this afterwards, DM me, send me a note if anything resonates or resonated. Listen, it's been a crazy 2022, and 2023 is off to a light, slow start, which I actually quite like. And it's funny, I don't know if you have the pattern. If you do, the pattern will tell you certain things that are going on. And I've had 2 or 3 major patterns complete. And the pattern was like, it was pretty hard for you. Or like, that was an extremely difficult period. I'm like, great, thank you. Fuck you guys. But I'd have to agree. And it does feel like the emergence is happening. I am more connected to the astrological new year. That whole vibey spring thing makes sense, right? So I've just been noticing, working on healing. Besides healing, I would say my capacity for relationship romantically, that's definitely a one that is ever evolving. The other piece is healing this being seen for my gifts, but specifically my channeling ability, which I find most people are like, yeah, no, I know you can channel. I'm like, no, we don't talk about that. So it's a very interesting relationship I have with, I would say, the easiest skill I possess to share with people. And one-on-one in person, I'm always happy to, let that channel fly. But online, I've found some hesitation for a mixture of reasons known and unknown, but had a major, I would say, shift recently and feel called to start showing up. And so yesterday I was out and about, had recently gone through a session to start to move some of this energy in a more, I guess, purposeful, larger way. And what happens for me when I am channeling, it will feel like my forehead is opening up, and so my crown opens up, my forehead opens up, and I fully feel in a different state. And the state feels kind of like meditation, and I can feel my body sort of down regulating to a vibration that maybe is more like a delta state. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it's completely different. Everything in the world looks completely beautiful, and that's the time to ask me a question. But it had been a while since I had just sort of happened upon that feeling. And so yesterday it happened, and I was channeling for 5-6 hours yesterday, which is, I don't know if that's always a good idea, but just on fire. And in one of the conversations I was having with, in this case, a friend, also clients, but my friend and I were talking about how hard it is to be a human, obviously, and that, I think a lot of us will say things like, a monk is so advanced because they can, they're there and they're dedicated to their practice, or dedicated to sitting on the hill per se, and everything else has fallen away. They have people bring them food. They don't have other day-to-day worries. And how impressive is that they can dedicate their life. But my personal belief, the more I've reflected on this and just been a witness to my own lived experience and transformation and other people's, is I think the power move is to be able to be divinely connected and in the world. And so I do believe that this year, 2023, has a lot of people stepping into a more intuitive path. I intuitively know a lot more of you are going to be using your intuition in ways that perhaps you had only tried on in smaller doses. You probably said something like, maybe I'm intuitive, I'm not sure. I expect to hear a lot of people say, the most intuitive, crazy thing, this thing happened, it was in synchronicity, I received this message, So Spirit's told me I got to get louder because I've had the opportunity to, I would say, in some ways, painfully and joyfully grow into leading my life this way. And so the reason we were talking about this is I think sometimes when we connect into our channel, our intuition, we become so joyous in the loving feeling of receiving those messages that we can almost forego being a human. We're like, being a human is kind of like crazy. Sometimes we'll spend more time only talking to people that are spiritual, only having spiritual conversations, meditating, going to 9,000 spiritual events, and like, definitely did that. But I think the power move, and this is the way my dear friend Lisa talks about going vertical. And so I was saying that I love the idea of vertical versus horizontal. I think it's such a great visual to describe it. I said I think the power move is to stay connected vertically but live horizontally, meaning be in and of the world but connected to spirit in the way that works for you, and not separating the two, not needing to be a monk and forego any worldly needs. And the reason I think that's important to share is you came from source. If you believe this to be true, you came from source, you came from the universe, you came from the infinite, and you chose to be in the finite to learn contrast, to come here and evolve the soul through the experiential. And so when people are like, I can't handle it, I'm going to like be only in the spiritual realm. And listen, everyone gets to have different experiences. This isn't a one size fits all. I personally believe you're missing the point. As someone who joyously sort of was living in spiritual realms for a while only, once I connected to it, because it was so much more comfortable than the pain of being a human and being disconnected from source in terms of receiving messages. And so if this year feels like the year that you are going to pop off, receive messages, find more divine flow and ease in receiving guidance, see if you can allow yourself to be present in both. Can you be present in your day-to-day grocery store moment where you're intuitively deciding if it's the banana or the mango? I'm obviously living somewhere tropical. And then can you still have the conversation that's about real life things? Can you allow yourself to be intuitively guided left or right, yes or no's, and still show up to your girls' weekend and maybe not talk about all the spiritual things, or do, but not in this way of I'm so connected, I can only be in the vertical, the horizontal is so painful. And so just delineating between those two. Achieving both, I think, is the master move, so you're not going to necessarily get it tomorrow, and it's always going to be a work of art, sure, we can say it that way. Work of art in terms of figuring out the dance, right? There's no black or white with this. This is definitely gray. Most things, in my opinion, have a grayness to it. And actually living in your intuition allows you to be comfortable with the gray because you know what your truth is. And if you are inclined this year, as your intuition, your channel, whatever pops off for you, to be like, fuck, it's just so much easier to be spiritual. It's so much easier. I just want to, like, people will say, I want to get back there. Why do we even bother with this human shit? Yeah, fair enough. But it's because the infinite is forever. This is finite, so don't miss your moment. Don't miss the moment to be human, to translate the divine into Mother Earth, because you're the connection between the two. You're the lived expression. That's the point of being here, is to actually live here, and as best you can in your evolution, be connected to source. Totally forget about it, do crazy ass weird stuff where everything feels hard, and go, oh yeah, it's all hard because I'm totally fucking disconnected from what's really true. But then to not only just live in that truth, void of what's actually happening here in the day-to-day, in the real world. So I guess that's an early prediction. I mean, it's a 7-year. It's what the numerology says will be a focus of. We're going to talk more about intuition and channeling a lot more this year. I'm going to go through my own healing and sharing. And if you want to receive that, if that feels in alignment, let's get into it. So the invitation, who doesn't love a summary, is to live in the vertical and the horizontal as best you can, to invite yourself back there if you forget, and to remember that the point is not to live in the infinite, because this is a finite amount of time that you get to be here. So enjoy the fucking shit out of it. Be highly spiritual, highly material as you desire, and you'll find the perfect middle ground from both of those things. If you have any questions about intuition, I got some stuff coming out, but if you want to send me a DM, I'd love to be in response to questions specifically. Happy to do that and use it as a launching pad for discussion. But otherwise, whatever day you catch, this is the perfect day. But if you happen to catch it the day that I recorded it, which is Tuesday, it's a day of action. Get out there, share your gift, be in motion, enjoy the shit out of living, and we'll see you all soon.